The era of the grand romantic gesture is over. For decades, we have been held captive by a narrative scripted by Hollywood and amplified by popular media. Cinematic displays, the boombox held aloft outside a window, the airport chase, the flash mob proposal, these have been the culturally accepted monuments to affection. But these monuments are crumbling. They are artifacts of a bygone, analog era, ill-suited for the complex realities of modern life. Today, the grand gesture has been warped by the pressures of digital performativity and strained by the anxieties of economic precarity, rendering it not just obsolete, but often counterproductive. What was once intended as a private declaration has become a public spectacle, a piece of content to be consumed and judged. This manifesto declares that our cultural reliance on the grand gesture is a form of outsourced, uncritical thinking about love. It is a failure to engage with what actually builds and sustains connection. It is time to reject this exhausted paradigm and recognize the quieter, more profound revolution in intimacy that is already underway. This revolution has a name. The Micro-Mance is the antidote to the performative spectacle. It is a philosophy of love built not on rare, seismic events, but on the steady accumulation of small, consistent, and authentic acts of connection. It is a romantic language perfectly suited for our time, fluent in the vernacular of shared memes, inside jokes, and quiet acts of service. It is a love that is lived, not just declared. This manifesto will deconstruct the hollow idol of the grand gesture, analyze the powerful psychological and socioeconomic forces driving the rise of the and provide the scientific evidence for this necessary and liberating paradigm shift in how we build our most meaningful relationships. The modern grand gesture is rarely a private affair. In the age of the digital panopticon, where every moment is a potential post, it has mutated from a personal declaration into a public performance. This chapter deconstructs this mutation, arguing that the gesture's value has shifted from its emotional sincerity to its potential for generating social capital, ultimately corrupting its purpose and rendering it an unreliable signal of genuine affection. The pressure to document our lives has given rise to the phenomenon of performative romance, where couples prioritize how their relationship appears online over how it actually feels in private. Social media platforms are not neutral backdrops. They are stages upon which love is produced for an audience. The grand gesture, with its inherent spectacle, is the perfect script for this performance. A lavish proposal or an extravagant gift ceases to be solely about the partner. It becomes content, meticulously crafted for public consumption. This dynamic fosters a validation addiction, where the metrics of comments, shares become a proxy for relational success. The question shifts from, does my partner feel loved, to, does our love look convincing to others? When the audience's reaction becomes more important than the partner's, the gesture is no longer an act of intimacy, but a transaction for external approval. This commodification of affection fundamentally devalues the act, turning what should be a sacred, personal moment into a public commodity traded for social status. This performance is built on a foundation of filtered intimacy, the curated presentation of a relationship's happiest moments while concealing the inevitable conflicts, struggles, and mundane realities. The result is a public-facing highlight reel, a succession of perfect dates, flawless vacations, and grand gestures that create the illusion of a problem-free partnership. This curated perfection has a pernicious effect on observers. It creates a powerful social comparison trap, where individuals view their own relationships, with their normal and necessary fluctuations, as deficient. The constant exposure to these exceptional moments, amplified by algorithms, creates a distorted perception of romantic norms. This is fueled by cognitive biases. The availability heuristic makes these viral proposals and extravagant displays seem far more common and expected than they are in reality. The bandwagon effect pressures other couples to conform to this performative trend to signal their own relationships' success. Furthermore, observers fall prey to survivorship bias, seeing only the gestures that are celebrated and shared, while the countless awkward, failed, or rejected attempts remain invisible. This creates an impossibly high and deeply unrealistic standard for romantic expression. Beyond its performative nature, the grand gesture is inherently risky because its interpretation is not intrinsic to the act itself. It is entirely dependent on the recipient's pre-existing feelings. A man traveling across the country to surprise a woman with flowers is romantic if she likes him, but it is stalking if she does not. The gesture does not create affection. It can only amplify affection that is already present. This debunks the central myth of the rom-com, that a sufficiently grand display can change someone's mind and win their heart. In reality, unsolicited grand gestures often go horribly wrong, creating pressure, awkwardness, and even fear. Stories abound of gestures that were met not with swooning, but with discomfort and rejection. A surprise airport greeting in a revealing outfit leads to a fight and a breakup. A painstakingly crafted Christmas card is given to a crush, only to witness her making out with someone else moments later. A box of condoms left on a doorstep as a hot gesture results in a humiliating phone call from the guy's mother. These failures reveal a critical truth. Grand gestures are a high-stakes gamble. Without a confirmed foundation of mutual affection, they are more likely to be perceived as a high-pressure tactic or a creepy invasion of boundaries than a genuine expression of love. The shift away from grand gestures is not merely a matter of changing tastes. It is a pragmatic adaptation to the material realities of modern economic life. For many, especially younger generations, the extravagant displays of affection that defined previous eras are simply not feasible. The Micro-Mance emerges not just as a preference, but as a necessary, intelligent strategy for building connection in a world marked by financial precarity, student debt, and a profound re-evaluation of what constitutes a successful life. Economic anxiety has a direct and measurable impact on our romantic lives. As the cost of living rises, the traditional architecture of dating expensive dinners, drinks, and entertainment becomes unsustainable for many. Research shows that financial stress does more than just limit budgets. It can actively harm relationships by biasing how partners perceive each other's actions. In times of financial worry, individuals are more likely to interpret their partner's behaviors negatively and recall less supportive behavior. This makes low-cost, high-frequency, positive interactions not just a nice, but a crucial buffer against the corrosive effects of economic stress. The experience of past recessions shows a clear pattern. When money is tight, people shift towards more budget-friendly and creative forms of connection, such as park dates, home-cooked meals, and free community events. This economic pressure has given rise to a significant dating trend known as a 2024 Bumble survey found that for a majority of women, uncertainty about the future has led them to place more value on stability in a partner, seeking someone who is emotionally consistent, reliable, and has clear goals. This desire for stability over spectacle is a direct rejection of the ethos of the grand gesture, which is often impulsive and financially extravagant. This aligns with a broader generational shift, particularly among Gen Z, towards radical stability. This involves a conscious recalibration of life goals, moving away from unrealistic dream job ideals, and towards making slow, steady, and sometimes boring choices that build a secure foundation for a dream life. This includes prioritizing budgeting, saving, and establishing a healthy work-life balance where personal fulfillment is found outside the office. The grand gesture, an act of high, is fundamentally incompatible with a life strategy built on prudence, consistency, and long-term security. The decline of the grand gesture also mirrors a larger cultural redefinition of success itself. The 21st century perspective is increasingly moving beyond purely external metrics like wealth and status. Instead, success is being redefined in more holistic terms, encompassing internal factors like well-being, happiness, purpose, and the quality of one's relationships. A life is considered rich not just because of its financial assets, but because of its wealth of connection, understanding, and shared meaning. A relationship built on the principles of Micro-Mance 1, that values feeling understood over being impressed, and shared moments over expensive events, is perfectly aligned with this modern, more humanistic definition of a successful life. In an unstable world, the Micro-Mance represents a form of romantic resilience. It functions as a sustainable, low-risk, high-return investment strategy for emotional connection. By decoupling romantic expression from economic performance, it makes love more accessible, durable, and insulated from the volatility of external circumstances, where the grand gesture is a high-risk, speculative bet on a single moment. The Micro-Mance is the emotional equivalent of dollar cost averaging, making small, consistent investments of attention and care that build a robust and diversified portfolio of relational trust over time. It is not a lesser form of romance. It is a more intelligent and adaptive strategy for building lasting love in a precarious world. Having deconstructed the failings of the old paradigm, we now turn to championing the new. The Micro-Mance is more than just a reaction to economic and social pressures. It is a proactive, positive, and psychologically sound approach to building love. This chapter will build a rich, detailed picture of this new romantic language, illustrating what it looks like in practice and why it is so profoundly effective. The core of the Micro-Mance is captured in a single, powerful statistic. 86% of singles now agree that small, frequent gestures are the new language of romance. This is not a niche opinion, it is a mainstream consensus. The defining characteristics of the Micro-Mance are its consistency and its integration into the fabric of daily life. It is not about setting aside special occasions for romance. It is about weaving romance into the everyday. These acts are authentic, often easy, on the pocket, and prioritize paying attention to the small details that make a partner feel seen and valued. The power of the Micro-Mance lies in its psychological impact, which is built through repetition and consistency. Unlike a one-time grand event, which can create pressure and unrealistic expectations, small daily gestures build a deep and lasting sense of emotional security. They communicate a constant, ambient affectionate background hum of thinking of you, I care about you, and I choose you that is present, even during busy or stressful times. This approach is inherently more sustainable and inclusive. It doesn't require a specific personality type or a large budget, making it a comfortable and authentic mode of expression for a wide range of people, including those who may find grand public displays intimidating or embarrassing. To fully grasp the concept, it is essential to understand its practical vocabulary. The Micro-Mance is a rich and varied language of connection, extending far beyond digital communication. The following lexicon provides a framework for recognizing and practicing these powerful, small acts of love. To fully illustrate the power of the Micro-Mance, we will now conduct a deep dive into the specific example from this manifesto's title. The internet meme, often dismissed as trivial or a form of brainerd content, is, in fact, a remarkably sophisticated and potent vehicle for modern intimacy. It is not just an example of it is arguably the perfect encapsulation of its principles, demonstrating how a seemingly simple act can carry layers of emotional significance. In the animal kingdom, penguins engage in a courtship ritual known as pebbling, where a male offers a female a perfect pebble for her nest. It is a small, symbolic offering, a gesture of care and intention. In the digital age, the act of sending a carefully selected meme to a partner is the human equivalent of this ritual. It is a low-risk, high-reward offering that communicates a simple yet profound message. I saw this, it made me think of you, and I wanted to share this small moment of enjoyment with you. It is a modern, digital bid for connection. The most effective memes exchanged between partners often function as, or help to create, inside jokes. Academic research into communication has long established that the development of nicknames and unique phrases is a hallmark of close, bonded relationships. This private vernacular serves to demarcate the boundary of the relationship, creating a special, shared world that is inaccessible to outsiders. When one partner sends a meme that is so specific and niche that only the other would truly understand its humor or relevance, it powerfully reinforces this shared reality. It is a coded message that says, "This is for us." This act strengthens the feeling of being a team and deepens the bond by creating a unique cultural shorthand belongs only to the couple. The success of a meme exchange is not just a psychological phenomenon, it has a tangible neurochemical payoff. When a partner receives a meme and responds with a laugh or an acknowledgement of being seen, it triggers a cascade of positive brain activity. The shared laughter and the feeling of mutual understanding stimulate the release of endorphins, the body's natural mood elevators, and oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone or love hormone. This chemical response actively reduces levels of the stress hormone cortisol, creating feelings of safety, trust, and deep emotional connection. Each successful meme exchange is, therefore, a small dose of neurochemical reinforcement for the relationship. In a world characterized by time, scarcity, and constant distraction, the meme is an incredibly efficient vehicle for complex emotional communication. A single image, often combined with a few words of text, can convey a nuanced feeling, a shared frustration with the world, a specific flavor of affection, or a complex inside joke that would take paragraphs to articulate in writing. It is a high-density bid for connection, packing a significant amount of emotional information into a small, easily digestible package. This efficiency allows partners to maintain a thread of connection throughout a busy day without requiring lengthy, time-consuming interactions. The meme is the ultimate authentic bid in an inauthentic, performative age. Its value is derived almost entirely from a shared, non-performable understanding. One cannot fake getting a highly specific inside joke. Its humor and meaning are locked within the shared context of the relationship, making it worthless as content for a public audience. An outsider observing the exchange would be excluded from its significance. The entire value of the act is internal to the relationship, confirmed by the private, subjective experience of a shared laugh or a feeling of being understood. This makes the meme a fundamentally anti-performative act. It is a moment of pure, uncommodified connection, and for this reason, it stands as the perfect symbol for the authentic intimacy this manifesto champions. We have arrived at the declarative heart of this work, having dismantled the hollow spectacle of the grand gesture and laid the scientific and sociological groundwork for its successor. It is time to formally state the principles of this new romantic paradigm. This is a call to action, a call to reject the outdated, media-imposed scripts of love, and to embrace a more conscious, authentic, and resilient way of building our most important connections. We hereby declare our independence from the tyranny of manufactured romance. We reject the notion that the value of our love can be measured by the extravagance of its public display. For too long, we have allowed our understanding of relationships to be dictated by external forces, by cinematic fantasies, by the curated perfection of social media feeds, and by the pressures of a consumer culture that seeks to monetize our deepest emotions. This is a call to apply independent thinking to the most personal sphere of our lives. It is a call to stop outsourcing our definition of a successful relationship and to instead build one based on our own values, our own reality, and the verifiable science of what makes love last. We must have the courage to define success for ourselves, not as a performance for others, but as the private, lived experience of genuine connection. We hold these principles to be the foundation of a modern, authentic, and sustainable love. We declare that a relationship's health is measured in the frequency of its connections, not the size of its gestures. The true strength of a bond is not found in a handful of monumental events, but in the thousands of small, successful bids for connection that accumulate over time. We embrace the 86% rule as our guide. The masters of love are those who consistently turn towards each other's small offerings of attention and care. We reject performative romance and the tyranny of the highlight reel. Our love is not content to be produced for an audience. We refuse to participate in the cycle of filtered intimacy and validation addiction that reduces genuine connection to a competition for social capital. Our relationship exists for us, not for the approval of others. We embrace authenticity as our guiding principle. A true connection is built on the courage to be seen for who we are, flaws and all, and the grace to offer that same acceptance to our partner. We understand that vulnerability, not perfection, is the soil in which intimacy grows. We value a shared meme over a public proposal. We choose the private, idiosyncratic language of us, the inside jokes, the shared cultural touchstones, the quiet understandings over the public spectacle designed for them. We find more romance in a single, perfectly timed GIF that no one else would understand than in a flash mob that everyone can see. We build resilient love that is future-proofed against economic anxiety. We decouple our emotional expression from our financial performance. Our ability to show and receive love is not dependent on our bank balance. We prioritize the radical stability of consistent, low-cost affection over the high-risk volatility of extravagant gestures. We practice the art of turning towards. We recognize that in our distracted world, focused attention is the most valuable currency. We commit to putting down our phones, looking up from our screens, and acknowledging the bids for connection our partners offer. We understand that this simple act is the most powerful investment we can make in our relationship's future. We define success by internal metrics. We abandon the external scorecard of likes, comments, and societal expectations. Success is feeling understood, supported, secure, and consistently chosen. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your partner is your teammate in the project of life. Adopting the principles of the Micro-Mance is an act of personal and, in some ways, political rebellion. It is a quiet but radical rejection of the forces of consumerism, the attention economy, and the outdated scripts that seek to define and commodify our intimacy. It is a reclamation of love as a private, authentic, and profoundly human experience. This requires the cultivation of an inner compass, a deep self-awareness of your own values, needs, and priorities. The journey begins with self-reflection. What truly matters to you? What makes you feel seen and loved? Once you understand your own needs, you can begin to recognize the bids your partner is making and consciously choose to turn towards them. This is not a chore. It is the most meaningful and rewarding work of a relationship. It is the daily practice of building a love that is not just performed, but lived. Conclusion: your relationship is a conversation, not a monument. For too long, the dominant cultural narrative has encouraged us to think of a successful relationship as a finished product, monument to be built and then admired from a distance. The grand gesture is the cornerstone of this monument. It is static, impressive, designed for public display, but ultimately cold and lifeless. It speaks of a love that was declared, a moment frozen in time. The Micro-Mance manifesto offers a different, more vital metaphor. A healthy relationship is not a monument. It is a conversation. It is dynamic, alive, ongoing, and co-created in the present moment. It can be serious, playful, messy, and profound. It is built not with stone, but with words, gestures, and shared understandings. Within this framework, a great meme or a shared playlist or a remembered coffee order is not the end goal of the relationship. It is a single, perfect word in the ongoing, collaborative poem of a shared life. The objective is not to collect a series of perfect, monumental words, but to simply keep the conversation going. This is the final charge of this manifesto. Abandon the exhausting, pressure-filled quest to build monument. Instead, embrace the profound, everyday joy of the conversation. True, lasting love is not found in the one-time, shouted declaration. It is discovered in the million quiet, consistent affirmations that whisper, again and again, I see you. Let's keep talking.